What lies has Hollywood told us about space? Imagine a universe where sounds explode in a vacuum, where planets glow with colors that defy reality, and where the human body disintegrates in a fraction of a second when exposed to space. These are just a few of the distortions Hollywood has sold us over the years. But the truth about space is even more fascinating and, in many cases, quite different from what we see on movie screens. In today's video, we'll peel back the fiction and explore what really happens when we venture beyond our atmosphere. Get ready to discover facts about the cosmos that you couldn't even imagine. In movies, it's common to see devastating explosions and spaceships roaring through the cosmos, creating an intense and dramatic sensation. However, this depiction is entirely fictional. In the vacuum of space, where there is no air or any other medium to transmit sound waves, sound simply cannot propagate. The spectacular explosions that reverberate in our ears are, therefore, purely a cinematic creation to heighten the excitement and visual impact of scenes. The truth is that space is a silent environment. Without molecules to vibrate and carry sound, even the most cataclysmic events, like the destruction of a ship or the explosion of a star, would occur in total silence. This physical reality might be less exciting than Hollywood's version, but it is a fundamental part of the nature of space. The absence of sound is one of the characteristics that make space so different from our earthy environment, where sound is a constant. In Hollywood movies, spaceship explosions are often depicted as big fireballs that light up the cosmos, creating a dramatic and exciting visual spectacle. These iconic scenes are used to increase the tension and impact of space battles, giving audiences a memorable cinematic experience. However, this depiction is scientifically inaccurate. In space, where there is no oxygen, fire cannot propagate the same way it does on Earth, making these fiery explosions impossible in the real space environment. On Earth, fire depends on three essential elements to exist: fuel, heat, and oxygen. When an explosion occurs, like that of a car or a building, the oxygen in the atmosphere feeds the fire, allowing it to spread quickly and create the characteristic fireball we see. In the vacuum of space, however, the lack of oxygen means that while a ship might suffer a catastrophic rupture, the fire would not behave the same way. Any flame that did appear would be brief and localized, as the fuel would be consumed almost instantly. Instead of large fireballs, an explosion in space would more resemble a sudden release of fragments and debris, thrown in all directions due to the lack of air resistance. The energy of the explosion would spread differently, without the spectacle of flames that we see in movies. The particles and debris from the explosion would continue to move indefinitely, unless they encountered some object or force to stop them, creating a less dramatic but more realistic view of what happens when a spaceship is destroyed. In many Hollywood movies, asteroid fields are depicted as dangerous and densely populated zones, where huge rocks float close to each other, creating a scenario of chaos and imminent danger for any ship daring to pass through. These action-packed and suspenseful scenes are one of the most common cliches in sci-fi cinema. However, this depiction is deeply misleading. In reality, asteroids in space are extremely far apart, making the risk of collision during a passage through an asteroid field almost negligible. In space, asteroids are found in vast regions known as belts, like the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, or the Kuiper belt beyond Neptune. Although these belts contain millions of asteroids, the distance between them is immense, typically on the order of hundreds of thousands to millions of kilometers. The chances of a spacecraft encountering an asteroid during a crossing through these regions are incredibly small. This contrasts sharply with the scenes where ships need to perform agile and constant maneuvers to avoid collisions, a situation more suited for cinematic drama than for scientific reality. Hollywood often exaggerates the consequences of being exposed to the vacuum of space, portraying scenes where the human body dramatically explodes upon contact with the space environment. This image is striking and undoubtedly intensifies the suspense and sense of danger in science fiction movies. However, this portrayal is far from accurate. While the vacuum of space is an extremely hostile environment for the human body, it would not cause explosions as often shown in cinema. In reality, if a person were exposed to the vacuum of space, the lack of atmospheric pressure would cause the air in their lungs to expand rapidly, which could cause internal damage if the person did not exhale immediately. However, the body itself would not explode. Instead, the person would lose consciousness within about 15 seconds due to the lack of oxygen in the blood. After about 90 seconds, the body would enter cardiac arrest, and death would occur within a few minutes if rescue were not immediate. Additionally, without external pressure, body fluids would begin to boil at low temperatures, but human skin is strong enough to prevent the body from disintegrating or exploding. Another consequence of exposure to the vacuum would be rapid heat loss, but not in the way many movies suggest. Instead of instantly freezing, the body would lose heat through radiation, a relatively slow process in space. However, the lack of air and the absence of atmospheric pressure are the main causes of lethal damage. Direct solar radiation could cause burns, while areas of the body in the shade would become extremely cold. Still, freezing would not be instant, and the body would not turn into an ice block in seconds, as some cinematic productions suggest. In many movies, planets and stars are represented with vibrant and saturated colors, creating stunning celestial landscapes that capture the audience's imagination. These spectacular settings, with planets glowing in intense shades of blue, green, or red, and stars shining like jewels in space, are visually impactful and contribute to the aesthetic of sci-fi. However, this representation is far from reality. In fact, many of these celestial bodies have much more subtle appearances, and their colors are influenced by a variety of factors, such as atmospheric composition and the light they reflect. Planets, for example, do not possess the intensely vibrant colors we see in movies. Mars, known as the red planet, actually has a softer coloration, varying from shades of brown to reddish due to the iron oxide on its surface. Jupiter, with its bands of colors, is primarily composed of gases that reflect sunlight, but these bands are not as bright or contrasting as often shown on screens. The color of a planet is actually a combination of its chemical composition, the sunlight it reflects, and, in some cases, the presence of atmospheres that disperse or filter that light. Stars, on the other hand, are also often portrayed in an unrealistic manner in movies. Although stars like the sun emit light in different colors depending on their temperature, they do not appear as intensely saturated, multicolored points of light as shown in cinema. In reality, most stars, when viewed with the naked eye, appear as points of white or slightly colored light. The subtle colors that do exist are due to the surface temperature of the stars, which varies from red to blue, but these color differences are much more discrete than the exaggerated versions presented in many cinematic productions. In this video, we explored some of the biggest lies Hollywood has told us about space. We saw how movies distort reality to create exciting and dramatic scenes, but that do not always respect the laws of physics and science. From impossible spaceship explosions to the exaggerated appearance of planets and stars, we unveiled the untruths that, despite being exciting, give us a distorted view of the cosmos. However, not everything in Hollywood is fantasy. There are moments when cinema gets it right in representing space. Movies like Gravity and Interstellar did a great job showing the challenges of zero gravity, the effects of time and space travel, and the difficulties of interplanetary navigation. These representations, although dramatized, bring us closer to the true experience of exploring the universe and capture the complexity and beauty of space science. If you enjoyed this video and want to continue exploring the mysteries of space and the curiosities of our universe, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and activate the bell to receive notifications whenever a new video is released. Your support is essential for us to continue bringing content like this. Watch our previous video on the most impressive scientific theories. See you next time, and keep exploring the unknown with us.